What's up, y'all? Good morning and welcome back to Authentically RGB TV, better known as AAB TV, and we are back for Snowfall episode 7 recap, discussion, review, however you want to call it. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So as you all know, Uncle Jerome is gone, y'all. I was like, oh, no. So we open up the episode with the funeral home coming to pick up Jerome's body. And we got Louie there, Leon, and Franklin. Everybody just looks so down and out, which of course, when a loved one passes away, that's exactly how you feel. I feel like they did that with, Louie's makeup after she got beat up. Just all type of just dramatics in the scene. It really kind of hit home, and it was a little dig, because I'm dealing with the death of my father back in December, so it's kind of like, oh my god. So the funeral home is coming to pick up the body. Franklin is in his hard mode where he's want to handle all the business. Tells them, basically to keep it under wraps, don't involve the police, don't want nobody all in their business. The funeral home person is like, cool, I got you. So they put the cover over him. Louie, like I said, she's just all sorts of out of whack, which of course, that's to be expected. And so they get to a certain point, and they told her, because she wanted to follow them, and they told her, look, we'll have him ready in a couple of days, but this is as far as you can go with him. We'll take care of him. And so they walk down the hallway, and she's just standing there, and this guy's standing in front of her, I guess security guard or whatever, and she's just screaming, Jerome, Jerome, Jerome. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, he is really gone, y'all. And she just breaks down. And then we see Teddy on the phone, and we realize that he's at his house or rental house or whatever with Nurse Girl, and she's asking him all type of questions you got $73 million, why you ain't got no food in here, why you ain't got no furniture in here? And she's and he was just like, girl, it's a rental, you know what I'm saying? You could tell he's trying to hurry up and pack up and move away, and just in case some people are starting to come for him. So they get a knock on the door. Who should the knock on the door be but his baby mama, Julia, ex-wife, whatever you want to call her. And he opens the door, looks down, she's pregnant. He walks in because Nurse Girl done hid, because you never know who's going to be knocking on the door. And when she realizes who it is, his baby mama is just basically coming in, just ready to have a conversation. And the Nurse Girl speaks, and she's like, oh, I didn't know y'all know y'all rekindled. I didn't know y'all got back together. I didn't know, saying y'all was still talking or whatever. When did that happen? And Teddy looked at her excuse you, how you gonna question me when you got a whole baby in your stomach? When did that happen? And she was like, oh, you right. So she has this conversation about what has been going on, what has transpired, everything that Teddy told her about Franklin wanting to come for her and their son. And she tried to tell Nurse Girl to get out the room and let them have a private conversation. And Teddy was like, she already know what's going on, so you good, what you gotta say? And basically her entire conversation was just look, you're gonna give Franklin back the money so that all of this will be done, and I don't have to leave. My son don't have to be in danger. I don't have to be in danger. You know what you should do, so do it. And he's like, I can't do that. And she's just like, I know he killed your father, but you've been living your whole life trying to do this patriotic duty to prove something to your daddy. Now that he's gone, you feel like you still gotta, prove something to him. Dude, you need to do what you know is right, or there's gonna be consequences to it. And he's just like, what you gonna do? And this is a part where I was kind of confused, y'all, because she was like, a public execution. And I'm like, you gonna kill Teddy? Or are you gonna expose him? So I was kind of like, And so he was just left on stuck, basically, because she was not playing. She was like, the best thing you ever gave me was my son, and then you want to kill him because you got something to prove. Like, give that man that $73 million. And he gonna talk about he seized money that was gained illegally for America. Sir, stop playing in that lady face. So then, y'all, we see Louis and Leon in a car. He is taking her home, and he asked her if he wants her to call Buckley, but she's like, no, like, the war's over. And I was like, I hope that it is. It's got to be over. She don't need no extra security. She don't need no backup. Like, her man is gone. And so she's like, and Leon told her, like, look, I can stay if you want me to. And she was like, no, I'm good. And so she left. She's walking around the house. She sees her face in the mirror just beat up and bruised up. She sees the brand that Cain put on her, that K in the middle of her chest. I was like, oh my God, she got to live with that, knowing he killed her husband. She's looking at their wedding pictures. She's just like, just probably going through everything in her mind, like, what the heck has happened in the last couple of hours. And then Franklin shows up at his mama's house. Wanda is there, and his mama, of course. And they're like, Wanda's like, where's Lee? And he tells him he took Louis home. And then his mama was like, so Leon is with Louis, what about Jerome? And he doesn't say nothing. He just gives her this look, and she knows, like, her brother is gone. And they end up going to the funeral home, where she gets to view the body, and she apologizes to him. And Franklin tries to comfort his mama, and she shoved him off so quick. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a horrible, horrible place to be in, for everybody to feel like it's your fault that somebody that y'all all love has passed away. So let's get into the rest of it, y'all. All right, y'all. So after Franklin and his mama went to the funeral home to view the body, and Teddy had the conversation with his baby mama. Teddy and Nurse Girl, they are discussing this conversation that they had with Julia. And Nurse Girl is basically saying, like, she actually agrees with what Julia was saying. And he was annoyed because he was like, you think I ain't gonna take care of my son? You think I'm gonna let my son, something happen to him? And she was like, I really don't know. Like, depending on what the cause is, maybe you would, maybe you won't. So then they get to talking about this $73 million. And remember, he told Julia that he got that money and, turned it over to, or got it for America, whatever, the CIA. When really he stole it, and he knows it, because he said that $73 million is mine, or ours. And Nurse Girl was looking at him like, ours? So what, you gonna give me half? And he was like, I mean, no, like, but we have, and she told him, like, I don't want to be just following you around and just, going with the flow with you. Like, I need to have a purpose in your life. And if I don't have a purpose in your life, sir, I'm going to get bored real fast and I'm going to get gone. So she's basically like, look, you need to step it up and, like, include me on some stuff, make me yours officially, or, I'm going to be, done. So then we see that Louis sitting in her house. Of course, she's sad, she's upset, and she gets a knock on the door. She's surprised to see Sissy, of all people, which is her sister-in-law, of course. And they're having a combo about how much Jerome loved Louis. And we all know he loved that girl. And Sissy's like, I've never seen him be with somebody like you. I've never seen him treat people like you. Like, he loved, like, your dirty draws, basically. And Louis still had this attitude, which is warranted, but she just basically was like, look, talking to Sissy, because Sissy was like, the beef between everybody needs to stop. The family beef needs to stop. And she's like, look, I don't got nothing to live for, basically. Like, you still got people that care about you. All I had was Jerome. And now I done lost my husband. And she's like, Sissy was like, don't forget I lost my husband too in this. And she was like, don't forget that we all played a part in this situation. Like, because we all know that Louis blames Franklin. And she told Sissy straight up, like, your son is the reason why Jerome is dead. And she was like, you can't really say that because we all had our hand in it. But at the end of the day, like, the situation needs to stop. And, like, the money, us trying to get money, going back and forth with the white man and the white man's war and all this other stuff, like, they just felt like, you know, all of this, they gained all of this and basically is left with nothing, which I was just like, well, that's a part of the game. So they were both just kind of looking off to each other like, I mean, you truthful, and what you saying is real, and what I'm saying is real too. So what we gonna do about this? Then we go to Leon and Franklin. Franklin needs a favor, ask for $500,000. And Leon was like, for what? And he's like, it's the cost of the price of freedom. So I was like, what does that mean? And then they are walking through the hood and they reminiscing on Jerome, and you know, Leon's like, you know, it's messed up how everything played out, and it's messed up what happened to Jerome. And Franklin, who has some emotion, but he's really got this hard exterior going on, he's like, this could have happened to any one of us. We in this game, and it's what happens. Even though none of this should have happened. But basically saying like Jerome should have never left us. He should have never parted ways with us, and we all could have still been tight. We all could have still been rocking. We all could have been protected and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, like, he chose to walk away from us, and these are the things that happened. And I was like, well, dang, like, not you talking about your uncle like that, sir. Again, like, you're hit with the facts because you live by the gun, you die by the gun. We all know that. But it's also like, that's your family, like blood family. So what's up with that? So I was kind of like perturbed by that, but Franklin is he's all over the place, like I've been saying since the beginning of the season. So then Louie, she's been having night terrors or nightmares, and she's reliving the scene, or reliving the moment where she was in the warehouse, and reliving the moment where, you know, Jerome was killed. And she gets up and she's like searching for something. She's smacking stuff on the ground. She's throwing stuff all over the place. Then she finally finds what she's looking for, which is a set of keys, and she hops in her car, and she's like screaming and cussing and yelling and just upset and just like emotionally just in a rage and a panic. And she ends up running into some garbage cans and like this, like near a pole. And I was like, oh my gosh, is she trying to kill herself? But she was not. She pulls up and she's in front of Sully's house, and she's yelling his name. And his boys is like, who are you? And she's like, go ahead, kill me. Do what you want to do. Like, she's just like ready to fight, ready to die, ready to do whatever, because she's just like over it. So she finally gets to knock on Sully's door. He opens it. They have a conversation about spirituality, basically. Like, it wasn't a long conversation, but short enough to where we get the picture. And before they had the conversation, we see that he put something on her chest. And I'm thinking, you know, since he's like this hood medicine man, that he done had some type of concoction that took the branding, the K off of her chest that Kane burned on her. And because he touched it with something, and she like made a little face like it was like hurting or whatever. But she asked him like point blank, like, how did you get peace after your girl and your child died, like, or were killed? And basically like, how are you doing it? How are you making it? And he's just like, you know, they guide me, they help me, they keep me from going in and retaliating because I really want to, but at the end of the day, like, I can't because they don't want me to. And I listen to them, and I realize they gone, but they not really gone. They live in my heart and all this other stuff. And so she's just like, but don't you want to burn the house down. Don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do that? Like, again, just filled with so much anger and just unanswered questions and rage and all this other stuff. And he's just like, yeah, trust me, I do. But again, like I said, they won't let him. And so they just had this like silent moment where she kind of understood where he was coming from. And it's just like, dang, like, you realize, like, in death, especially if someone is like murdered, or, you know what I'm saying, taken away from you through violence and stuff, like how traumatic that is, how hurtful it is. Because it's just like, one minute they here, one minute they gone. Even with just, if you expect the death or whatever, it's just like, one minute that person's there, the next minute they gone. And at the end of the day, it's just like, it's just so messed up, and you're left with like so many feelings. And it's like, one day you're up, one day you're down. And it's just like, I feel for her because of it was so traumatic. It was such a traumatic experience for her. It was such a traumatic thing that she has to deal with. Like, realize like her husband is gone, and then the things that she went through before he even tried to come and save her. Whew, I was just like, my goodness. And then we jumped to Franklin, and he's also having nightmares, and ended up like waking V up in the middle of the night having a panic attack. And you know, talking about he can't breathe, and she's trying to like console him and calm him down, and, you know, asked if that had ever happened before, and he was like, yes, it has. But she and she had to reassure him, like, you're okay, you're with me, you're safe, you're at home. And I was just like, hit all of that, and subconsciously, consciously, however you want to say it, like, it's bothering him, it's getting to him. And I could tell that she was like, she was feeling like, oh my gosh, like, maybe like my mom was right, he could break any moment, or, you know, this is gonna mess him up and traumatize him too much, to where the plans that he made for me or for us together as a family aren't gonna come through. And I'm trying to stick by him, I'm trying to ride for him, and just everything's just crumbling down, because he said, like, you know, what's happening to me? And she's like, nothing, we're gonna stick to the plan, And I'm just like, stick to the plan? Like, girl, are you just worried about you in this situation? And what you may miss out on, or what you may not gain, or what you may lose. Like, I was just like, but at the same time, I know that she does really care for him, and she could, like I said, she could just see how this is really like affecting him. And it's crazy. Like, everybody's just going through so much. Then we move over to Gustavo and Ziamara, his girlfriend, and everything is happening while everybody's asleep, which is so crazy to me. But anyway, Gustavo wakes up to a noise, and he hears it, and he's like, what the heck is that? So he goes to check it out, and lo and behold, it's murder for hire dude, who is in his dining room at the table. And he's just like, what's up? And Gustavo's like, bro, like, what are you doing in my house? So basically, murder for hire dude, KGB dude, tells Gustavo that he has a plan, and he's got the drop on something that's going to be happening in like 2 days. And he wants Gustavo to basically set Teddy up to be arrested, and that'll be that. Because, you know, everybody's out to get Teddy. And so he tells him, like, this is an obligation. Like, there's no negotiating anything. You got 2 days. I don't want to have to hurt nobody. So in the meanwhile, while they're having this conversation, Gustavo's girlfriend or wife, whoever she is, Ziamara, she comes in, and she's like, what the heck are you doing in my house? Like, who are you? He knows her name and everything. And he's like, chill, like, I'm a friend. And she's very suspicious of it, of course. And so he's just like, look, I told you, I don't want to have to hurt nobody. You got 2 days, amigo. 2 days to get it done. And basically Gustavo told him, like, I need to make sure that if I help you out, then my family is going to have some money, and that we're going to have a place to stay. And he tells them, my agency will do what we got to do to get y'all to go wherever y'all want to go, any place in the world. We'll get you your money where y'all can live comfortably. Like, we're not as rich as the Americans. But you help us out, we'll help you out, and you gonna be straight. You ain't gonna go to jail, none of that stuff, like everybody's been promising him. And so after all of that, after the quote unquote threat of not having to hurt nobody and all of this stuff, Ziamara is just like, what's going on? Like, this is too much. And Gustavo's just like looking. not saying anything, not speaking. He's just looking at her. And then she's like, I don't think that you should know where we go as far as her and the kids are concerned. And I guess she's just like, it's over. Like, of course it's too much. Having, your family in danger, having to look over your shoulder, people breaking into your home, like it's supposed to be a safe space. Like, I get it. So she was just like, I don't want this no more. And Gustavo just was like, I think you're right, and just runs off. I was like, well, dang, you ain't gonna put up a fight. But I mean, I know he loves her and he understands, and he's got under a lot of pressure because everybody's pulling him this way and that way and trying to get to Teddy, and then Teddy's pulling him this way and that way to make sure he's loyal. Like, sir, you got a lot going on. And then we see Louie. Louie pulls up to some lady's house and she's crying, and the lady's like, I got you, I got you, I got you. And I'm like wondering to myself, like, did I miss something? Like, who is this lady? And I'm assuming that it's a longtime friend of hers. So that's just basically where we were left at, with them embracing each other and her telling her that she had Louis back. Then we see my favorite couple, Wanda and Leon. Leon's up there cleaning a gun. Wanda walks in, she got her hair done. He's complimenting her. It's like, hey, what you got in your hand? Because she's holding a basket. And she's like, stuff for me to move. And he was like, you leaving me? And she's like, of course not. And we all know how much she loves him and how much he realized and how much he understands, how much he loves him, so Wanda. But she tells him, like, I can't live in the projects no more. Like, it's too much looking over your shoulder. It's dangerous. It's reminding her of her past, I'm sure. And she wants a better life. She's just like, in a perfect world, she would move to Ghana. She would go back there and have a bunch of kids with Lee and they will live happily. But she understands that's not her life right now. But she also understands, like, she cannot handle, the project. She gets reminding of her being a crackhead. She sees the drugs. She sees Lee with, quote unquote, running the projects now. And he's just like, just wait on me. Like, I told you, like, I got some stuff to handle, and I'll pass over the projects to the next person, and we can live our happily ever after. And she's like, you know what? I wish I could believe you. I wish I could believe you because. And I was like, girl, same, because you are knee deep, more than knee deep in the trenches in the game, Lee. You ain't finna stop no time soon, and she's no dummy. Like, she knows that. And for her to just decide to live somewhere separate from her own husband, like, that lets you know she's serious about her change. Like she said, I want a better lifestyle, and I don't blame her. Like, I don't want to be in the projects. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. I want to be able to just be free, and that ain't being free. And she's doing what's best for her, even though she's not leaving her husband. She wants her husband to, I guess you could say, choose her, or choose them, choose the better life that they both said that they wanted. And like she said, he's upset about it, but I know deep down he understands it too. And she ends up leaving. And then we go back to Louie and this friend of hers. Louie's in the bathtub. Like, this lady's like catering to her, helping her bathe, helping her try to like relax. And they're talking about their past. And if y'all was not paying attention to that conversation, I was like, what the heck? Like, they was talking about some traumatic things, like people strangling them and having to go down into the basement with this person and dealing with this. And I was just like, what in the world? But like Louie said, like, she never pictured that she would be back in that mindset, of people violating her, basically. And the lady just continued to reassure her, like, I got you, and you're gonna get through this. And she spoke about Jerome and how, someday she even forgets that he's dead, which, again, that happens when you lose someone expected or unexpected, because it's hard for you to get used to that empty space that's there, that empty void. No matter what you try to do to, ignore it, it's there and it's so evident. And so while they're having their conversation, Louie's pager goes off and she looks at it and she realizes who it is, and she's annoyed because, of everything else that she's been dealing with and having to do. And it ends up being that it was Teddy. He's like, where you been at? And she's like, first of all, who you talking to? and she's giving him all this attitude. She doesn't tell him everything that has transpired since they last spoke with each other. But he was just like, I've been paging you and paging you, like, where you been, where you been? And she's just like, basically like, don't come at me with that. Um and then he's like, like, don't forget you work for me and all this other stuff. Like, I need your help. And so she agrees to meet with him later on in the day. And again, like I said, Teddy has no idea that Jerome is gone, has no idea the things that Louis went through. And so she's just like, I'll meet you at 3 o'clock, sir. Goodbye. Get off my line. And that's exactly what she said. So now we're back on to Wanda. She's having a conversation as she's packing. She's with Sissy, and she learns that Sissy wants her to take over her position full time at the shelter. She's like, she don't want to do it no more. And she's in a different mindset and space as well, because of course her brother is gone. Her sister-in-law is depressed and down, blaming her own son for the death and all of the bad that's happening. She's probably regretting some things. She's still missing her husband often and all that stuff. And so she's just like, I can't do it no more. So, and she also offers to have Wanda move into one of the apartment buildings that they own. And Wanda's like super appreciative. And even in the midst of their conversation, Wanda's like, what you gonna do now? And we just see Sissy kind of staring off into space, like, I don't know. And I'm thinking like maybe she's gonna want to move out of the country again. I don't know. And then Gustavo meets up with Franklin, and he's like, "Hey, I need my money, sir. I need my money because I got this person on my back, I got that person on my back, and everybody wants Teddy, and I gotta move tomorrow. I gotta move like ASAP." Because my family is in danger, and just like you, I don't play about my family. And he's just like freaking out, and Franklin's kind of looking at him like, hey bro, what's wrong? So he finally spills all the tea to Franklin. He tells him that the DEA caught up with him, if y'all remember last season, right after Franklin had left, I think like at the little storage place, and they took all his money. And they told him like, we'll help you, stay basically free if you help us to get Teddy and Franklin as well. And so Franklin like pulls a gun on Gustavo. He's like, "What you done? Like, what you mean?" And he's like, "Look, bro, they want Teddy. They don't want you. Trust me, you are clean. They're not looking at you, but they do have evidence of Louis and Teddy, swapping and copping and dropping all the drugs." And he's just like, but trust me, like they ain't thinking about you right now. That's what they want. Then he tells him about KGB dude and the fact that he wants Teddy as well. And he also knows that Franklin wants him to help him get Teddy. So he's just like, I don't know what to do. I'm at a crossroads. And he's just like, they gonna make, the DA is about to just like expose this whole thing, and I just don't know what to do. So Franklin's like, look, I can get you the money, but the documents that you want, they take it forever. He was like, but I'm gonna try my hardest to, get them to you as quick as I can, but the documents is what is gonna take however they take. And he's just like, bro, I just need your help. And he also told him like, you know you done all you could do. Like, I mean, you was in a position and you had to do what you had to do. And we see the CIA discussing Teddy, discussing Franklin and how he killed Teddy's daddy and all these other things that have gone on. And the dude that we see often with Teddy, who works with the CIA, he's just like, what am I supposed to do? He's asking for help. And the other guy is just like, look, you got a lot of holes to fill, but you better do it, and you better do it quick, because they own us and we need to get some stuff done. And did y'all peep when the dude that he was talking to called Franklin a nigger, hard R? And I was like, hold on. Like, literally, y'all wanted him to help y'all. And now all of a sudden, that everything done turned upside down. Now he's all in N-words and stuff. Like, I was just like, all right, that's how they see us. It is what it is. Like I said, he told the CIA, dude, you need to handle that. Like, you need to get a handle on Teddy and tell him to get a handle on everything else before we are exposed. And they know about KGB, they know about all of that stuff. So they're just trying to keep everything under wraps as much as possible. And then finally meets up with Teddy. Teddy sees her face, and it's like, what happened? And she don't tell him. She just says like a little smart response. And all of he's like, look, I need you to give me Franklin. He killed my dad. And she's looking like, what? And then she's like, well, I don't talk to Franklin. You know we don't socialize. And he's like, look, you work for me. Don't forget that. Again, saying it to her, like, you work for me. Like, don't tell me that you can't do, these things. I know you know where he's at and I need him. Like, don't sit up there and act like you don't know his whereabouts, basically. And she's like, look, I don't have time for this. I'm about to put my husband in the ground tomorrow. And he's like, Jerome's dead. And she's like, yeah. And I got Franklin to thank for that. And again, she's blaming Franklin for everything, as if she nor Jerome had anything to do with it. But that's neither here nor there. So she's like, I want him myself. And so you gonna wait until after this funeral for my husband, and then I'll help you get him. Like I said, she still has this hatred, even though he did come back for her. She still has this hatred for him. And I was just like, it's very tricky. It's very messed up. But again, she feels, I mean, what did she expect them to do? Like, he told her husband came, got into it with Kane, and then they both are dead. But she doesn't see it that way. And so she's like I said, she wants to cut him from the rooter to the tutor, basically. She wants him gone. And so once she's done with the funeral, she's going to help him get him. And I was just like, I am curious to see how that's going to play out. But on to the funeral we go. So we get to the funeral, you all, and everyone is there. Even D, which I was surprised to see him. He was there. They even had, if y'all paid attention or if y'all even know about the show, they had a couple of characters from P Valley just sitting randomly in the audience at the funeral, and I was like, that was odd. But anyway, so as everybody's like gathering at the cemetery and stuff, Wanda and Lee are just standing there and they're looking at Louie, and she's, crying over the casket. And Wanda, talks about how she knows how much Jerome loved Louie. And it's like one minute he was there, the next he's gone. And, how it kind of reminds her of how much Lee loves her. And he's like, I'm here with you. And then again, she was like, yeah, but he was just with her too. And now he's not. And she's like, I'm scared. Again, she knows the lifestyle. She knows what it can lead to. And she doesn't want that type of life for her or her husband. And she doesn't want to end up being like, like them. Running for their lives, having enemies, all that type of stuff. And so even like she said, earlier on in the episode, like she can see how it's going to play out. That's why she wants so much better for the both of them. And like I said, she tells Lee like she was scared, and he just kind of looks at her, consoles her, and assures her that everything's going to be okay, which I really hope that it is. Gustavo is there to pay his respects, and him and Franklin have a little conversation, and Franklin tells him like, I got some good news for you. Come to the repast and I'll put you up on game about what the good news is. So we didn't see that part, so I wonder what that is. Buckley, he decides to come up. He walks up to Louie and is like, I didn't know. He's like giving all these apologies, and she asked him like point blank, like, did he pay you to ask you and to come up to the warehouse? He's like, no. And the look on her face to me seemed like she knew that he was lying. Because again, when he called Buckley, or Paige Buckley, he was at Sully's house, and she had already went to get that visit. So maybe in that conversation, I'm assuming by putting two and two together that Sully let her know everything that happened before Jerome even went to the warehouse to get her. And so he's just looking, and you could tell in his eyes, like, he felt the type of way about her asking that. And I could tell, like, she knew he was lying. And I was just like, yeah, because he was sitting up there in that car getting high as a kite and didn't even come and help like he was supposed to. So he walks on by. So then we have everybody sitting down, and we don't see who the preacher is, or unless I didn't see who the preacher was. There was a singer there, and as she's singing, we hear this sermon or this speech, what have you, about guns and violence and young men in the community with guns, the black community with guns, and how the community has failed the community as far as like the people that live in the community and the church community, and how they have failed the entire their community as a whole, their neighborhood as a whole, because they just stand by and they don't really do as much as they should to combat the violence in these young men and women, of course, who have guns and going around killing each other. So as they're, the speech is going on, they're panning to different people in the audience, and they got their heads down because it was kind of like hitting home, not kind of, but for sure hitting home for them, because of course they are in the game. They are selling drugs to their community. They are killing one another, and just coming to terms with everything. So I felt like that was pretty powerful. So after the funeral, everybody's leaving, and Wanda and Leon, they're walking out, and all of a sudden we see Dee, and I was just like, oh shoot, is it about to be a freaking fight at the funeral? Like, please, Lord, no. But Dee was like, hey, he had all this like tough guy attitude, and he's just like, did y'all kill the people that did this to Jerome? And Lee was like, yeah. He was like, all right, cool. And then they both turned and walked away, and I was just like, oh, okay, maturity, growth, I guess they feel like it ain't worth it. They already at their homeboy's funeral, so I guess beef between them ain't needed, And so at the very end, Louis still standing over the casket, of course not wanting to leave. She sees Franklin through a reflection in a picture of Jerome, and turns around and she asks him like, hey, why'd you come back for me? And he's like, I know how much my uncle loved you. And at the end of the day, you are my auntie. And I just couldn't live with myself to know that I just left you there because I was raised to respect women. And all this other stuff. And I was just like, And she was like, is that all? And he took off his glasses, walked up to her, and was like, no, it's not. You promised me something at that warehouse, and I'm ready to cash in on my promise. And then she looked at him and said, you're the devil. And he was like, yeah, I know. And then walked off. And I said, he's a trip. He's a whole trip. I mean, we all know what that favor is, of course, to help. She was going to help him get Teddy. But at the end of the day, I'm just really curious, like I say all the time, to see who's going to get Teddy, and if Teddy's going to get Franklin, or is Louis going to get Franklin. It's so much, y'all. It's so much how they crazy. And it's crazy how they all started out together, and now everybody is just like all over the place. But we only got a few more episodes left, y'all. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. And I'll see y'all later. And I'll see y'all next week on another recap and discussion about good old Snowfall Season 6, the final season. Peace.